Hello and welcome back to Overbooked. I'm Amanda and today we are doing my December wrap up. Welcome to 2022. Hello. I hope you guys have been all having a great new year. You're starting off strong. I hope that you accomplish everything that you needed to do in 2021. What year is that? We're here. We're here in 2022. We did it and we're gonna do our last wrap up for 2021, December. So I have 10 books to go through, so let's not waste any time here, because you guys know I can be chatty. The first book that I finished in December was Dear Edward by Anne Napolitano. I read this for the Girly Book Club, and I am just so happy that I've joined back in. I think I've talked about this book club a couple of times, but I'll just do a little brief synopsis if you're new here, if you haven't heard about it. Back in like 2019, I joined the Girly Book Club, and it's like an in-person meeting, and they have chapters all over the US and in, I think, Canada, because it's ran by a Canadian woman. Yeah, I definitely wanted to try to meet new people. I wanted to meet people who also liked reading books. So this was a great opportunity. Fun. I get to hang out with some people who aren't my family or the regular people that I usually see. And it's just nice. It's just nice, especially if you're new to a town or a city and you just need, to make some kind of connections. And I don't know, I like it. I like it a lot. They have some pretty good books. So anyways, I'll put that link down below if you guys want to check it out. You can find a chapter near you. Their website is janky. I'm not gonna lie, it's a janky mess. But you should still check it out, because the company isn't janky, okay? Anyways, Dear Edward was great. It was a great introduction back into the Girly Book Club. I loved this book. It was really, really good. Dear Edward follows a young boy named Edward who gets on a plane with his family and 192 other passengers, and the plane crashes and he's the only one who survives. So we follow Edward going through like the aftermath of losing his family, dealing with this like knowledge that he's the only person who survived this flight. And we also get to jump back and forth to the passengers on the plane leading up to the crash, which was real sad, but also really interesting at the same time, because they're all gonna die. But it's still really cool to know them and get to know them. I love a multiple character perspective story, and I love it here. I thought that this book really dealt well with the concept of grief and how different people go through it differently. But I really thought that it was so heart-wrenching to watch Edward go through grief and have to be around other people who are going through grief. So he moves in with his aunt, who is his mom's sister. So his aunt also lost somebody. She lost her sister, but she's also having fertility issues. So she's lost a lot of, babies that she's tried to have. And so there's just a ton of grief surrounding him and how he has to try to navigate that, but also carve out a place for himself. It was just really, really just tender to read, and I really, really liked it. So, I definitely recommend if you haven't checked it out yet. The next book I read was Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. This is the first book I've read by her. I've heard that she has excellent books. I think she's the one who wrote Yoke. I don't know what the other one is called, but I'm like picturing them. So Emergency Contact is about and I read this for the Stacks Book Club. Emergency Contact is about two young people, one who is going into her first year of college, and she's kind of like an introvert. She's kind of quiet. She doesn't have a lot of friends. She's very disconnected from her mom. And then we also have a young man whose name I forgot. He is a bit older than the freshman. We'll call her that. And he is trying to scrimp and save to get into school, to go to school. He really wants to be a documentary filmmaker. He lives at the coffee shop because he has no money. And he has a very troubled relationship with his mother. His mother, I can't remember if she has like alcohol abuse, drug abuse. She's definitely addicted to buying things on the TV, like when those ads come up. It's bad. It's a really bad relationship. So these two kind of know each other through a mutual friend. And then one night, the freshman finds the barista, we'll call him that, and kind of like takes care of him and brings him back to his place. And then they kind of say that they're each other's emergency contacts, and then they start this like texting relationship. It's an interesting concept. I really liked it at first. I really loved reading through it, but upon reflection, after listening to the Snacks Book Club discussion and also just like thinking about it myself, there were some things I just didn't really enjoy about the book. One, the barista had a previous relationship and they had a pregnancy scare, and that really just doesn't really go anywhere. We also are made to like feel like this like chick that he's dating is this like terrible bitch, and we're all supposed to hate her. But I'm also like, okay, we don't get her perspective. She's a young woman who is potentially like impregnated by somebody who is homeless, lives above a coffee shop with a bed that's on the floor and nothing else, gets paid minimum wage, and like, what is she's gonna support this child by herself, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a scary time, so I don't really judge her too harshly. And she's also just trying to do what she wants to do. I don't know, I didn't really super hate her. I thought she was kind of annoying at times, but I also felt like she was also going through a lot and we didn't get her full perspective. I also just feel like I didn't understand the freshman's like terrible relationship with her mother. I didn't get where that stemmed from. It kind of is touched on, which I don't really want to give anything away, but I didn't really understand the connection to that, and I think I just maybe missed something. That might have been on me, but I just didn't really understand, especially since like we have, you know, the freshman and her mom, and then we have the barista and his mom, and that's like a terrible situation. And I was just like, I don't know how these compare. Like, if I had somebody that I was seeing and they started complaining to me about their mom, that like, whatever, and then I was like, yeah, my mom just is an alcoholic and abuses drugs. I don't know, it's just a really rough comparison. I don't know. It's definitely YA, reads as YA, which I didn't super mind. I'm not a huge YA fan, but I didn't mind this one. I didn't mind it. I honestly would recommend it to other people. It's an easy read. It was enjoyable. I got what I needed from it. Next book was Take a Hint, Dani Brown by Tilia Hibbert. I think this was probably one of my favorite Brown sisters books. I think it for sure is. I liked it better than Chloe, and I did like it better than Eve. We'll get to Eve in a second. I really enjoyed this. I thought this was fun. So we follow Dani Brown, who is like this professor, feminist literature, I think. I don't know. And then we also follow Zaf, who is like the security guard, ex like rugby player, like big like famous guy. And he runs like a nonprofit, and after their building catches on fire or has a smoke alarm, drills something, he like carries her out fireman style, and then there's a picture that goes viral, and then his nonprofit just picks up steam from it. So they decide that they're gonna fake date to keep this train rolling. So Zaf has more people looking at his nonprofit, donating money, and getting really interested in it. But obviously, fake dating never fucking works. It's such a joke. And they kind of like allude to that in the book. It's like really funny because Zaf is really into romance novels, and he's like, yeah, whenever like the romance novels talk about fake dating, it never works. And I'm like, I know, Zaf, I know where this is going. So throughout the book, they're fake dating, they're really like falling in love for each other, and they're really just like, it's just a snappy, fun time. I don't really know what else to say. They're both going through their own stuff that won't really give away. I think it's more fun to hear about it yourself. And then eventually they decide that they like each other, and they have to figure out how to do that. And it's fun. I don't know, it was a fun book. I liked this one a lot. That's it. Next one, I finished. I'm not gonna go too deep into this because I could go on forever. So forever. I read Anna Karenina by Leah Tolstoy. And it took me all year to read. Yeah, I have a whole reading vlog on this book. Please check it out. I read this for the Snacks Book Club, and I will say, I am glad I read this book. It was so enjoyable to listen to the podcast episode, and it was really enjoyable to do the vlog and editing and watching it from my initial optimism to my end where I am screaming crying. So that was fun for me. I am proud of myself that I read this book, and I enjoyed parts of it. I think that what I figured out from listening to the Stacks podcast discussion is that Leo Tolstoy literally shaped the character Levin like as himself, and that's why Levin has so much screen time, okay? And we don't need it. He's not important. He's not an interesting character, and the characters that are interesting, Anna and Vronsky, who are having a love affair, almost get pushed to the side. And I'm like, okay. So that was my main complaint in this book. Like, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand. I mean, when Anna dies, spoiler alert, literally no one gives a shit almost. It's like, who, what is going on? But check out my reading vlog. I dive way deeper in there. Next book was How Beautiful We Were by Mbolo Mbu. I don't think I'm saying that correctly. I read this for the Book of Sense book club. And this book, round of applause. I appreciated this book so much. It is just so great to see like this kind of story be brought to people's attention. And I really hope that it made people think. It definitely made me think. How Beautiful We Were follows this fictional African village that is essentially like on or very next to this oil field drilling area. There's pipelines all over. The river that's by there is just toxic with all the pollution that's gone into it because of this oil field. And the air is terrible. There's black smoke. And so in result of that, the residents of this village the children have been dying from, the side effects of pollution. And like their quality of life is just dramatically decreased. They can't grow their crops. They can't use the water. It's just terrible. It's really terrible. Terrible situation. And they keep trying to get help. They keep going to the oil company. They keep trying to go to their government. No one listens to them. No one cares. And it just falls on deaf ears. And we do follow some of the characters. It's an interesting perspective of how the author set this up. So we follow the perspective of some of the main characters, but then we also follow the perspective of, she calls the chapters the children. And it's just like a collective voice of the children of the village. And we watch as they like grow up. So even when they're like adults, the chapters are still called the children because that's who they are. And one of the main characters is this girl, and I can't remember her name, but she's incredibly smart. And her father, on a trip to try to go talk to some representatives of the government or this oil field, I can't remember, goes missing. And essentially it's like implied that he got killed or something like that because they wanted to keep him quiet and they don't care what's going on. And she makes it like her mission to like keep going with what her father was trying to do to save her village. So she does really well in school. She eventually gets accepted to this like school that's outside of their village where they have to go, and then she does really well there, and then she gets accepted to a college in the US where she goes and she is just trying to get herself educated and yada yada yada. And she has all this correspondence with the children back from her village, and they try to do all of these things to bring attention to their village, bring attention to what's going on. And it's just really, I don't want to give anything away, but it's so sad. It's really sad. It's heartbreaking. And the thing that I kept thinking about when I was reading it is like, this is a fictional story, but this is completely real. This is so real. I mean, we even see this in America, and our main character says this when she is like writing her letters back and forth. Like when she's in America, she's like, I thought that this was going to be the land of prosperity and this wouldn't ever happen here, but it does. And that's true. I mean, like there are communities of lower income, especially people, communities of color, who are experiencing what these people in the fictional African village are experiencing on a daily basis. Maybe not as extreme, but it's definitely happening. It's almost infuriating to read this because you're like, I know this is happening. I know people's complaints are falling on deaf ears. And when they do get brought up, it's only like a sensation for a little bit. Like Flint water crisis is only like a sensation for a little bit, but I haven't heard about it in forever. It's just this thing that is like infuriating, and you know what's going on, and it's like, what can you do? And that's what I was kind of asking myself while I was reading this book. Like, how do I forget about the things that are going on in the world? Like, why do I forget about them? And how do I stop myself from forgetting them? What can I do? What are the steps that need to be taken to make sure this doesn't happen? There's just a lot of things that, like, very big questions. I don't know a single person can solve. Like, I don't know if me thinking over these questions can really do anything, but they're definitely things that I want to think about. And I think, like, I don't know, it's just what I think about. How Beautiful We Were was a beautiful story. It was a really good, just a good book, good story, good things to like think about. I really wish I could keep up with the Book of Sense in a timely manner to attend the book club meetings, because this would be such a good book club book. It would be so good to discuss some of the things brought up in this book. So if you have a book club and you are looking for a book to read, I definitely highly suggest this one. It was great. Next book is What Storm, What Thunder. This is also for the Book of Sens. It's by Miriam J.A. Chansey. And I liked this book. I did not like it as much as I liked How Beautiful We Were, but I still enjoyed it because, you know why? Multiple character perspective. We love it. We love it. I love it. With Storm with Thunder, it follows a earthquake that happens in Haiti, and we get all the different perspectives from different people that are there that were impacted by this earthquake, and they're all like connected. And it's so fun to watch how all of these characters are connected in a certain way. Like this is like the center, and I feel like all the characters are around. But they're like, it's really, really cool, and they're all at different intervals of the earthquake. So some are happening right before, some are happening years later, some are happening now. And it's just a really, really, really cool book. It's a really cool story and how she set it up. I really liked how she did that. And it was just a really interesting story. There's not really, I don't really know how else other than to describe that. Like it's just a lot of different characters going through the same event, but you get all their different experiences. And it was really, really cool. I enjoyed it a lot. Next book I read was People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. And I don't know what it is, you guys. Emily Henry is just comfort food. She's like, all right, I need a bowl of mac and cheese with sliced up hot dogs. Get them on, get it served, let's go. I know that sounds gross, but I love it. It's so good. People We Meet on Vacation was that for me. It was so good. Was it an excellent literary read? No. Was it like mind-blowing and different ideas? No, but it was just so comforting. I loved it so much. People We Meet on Vacation is about two friends who meet at college, and every year they go on vacation, and then something happens that like kind of tears their friendship apart, and they try to go on this trip to rekindle their friendship and to make it happen again. And so we kind of go back, so we are like in the present time where we're like seeing them try to go on this trip to bring back their friendship. But then we go back, I think it's like 15 years from their first trip they did together, and then leading up to the present. And I really loved that. I loved seeing how their friendship was formed, seeing how these trips happened, what happened on these trips, and what made it fun. It was just really good. It was a really comfort read. It's a romance, so obviously we kind of know what's going to happen with these friends. But it really just was great. I don't know. It was just a good one, and I liked it a lot. I read it in one day because I was on vacation myself, and I just really enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to her next one, which I think is called like Book Lovers or something. And I'm like, Emily, you know what the people want. You know. I'm really excited for that one. Next one is Act Your Age by Eve Brown. Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. I don't know what it was for this one. I don't know. I didn't enjoy it as much as I liked the other the Brown sisters. I didn't. And I don't know what it was. It was a fun concept. I liked the B&B concept. I liked the food, like, bakery thing. I just found myself really not caring and paying attention. That sounds bad. So I listened to an audio, so that might have been an issue, but I didn't have the same issue with Take a Hint, so I don't know. I thought it was fine. It was a fine book. I don't know what it was. That's kind of it. We have Eve Brown, who is the youngest sister of the Brown sisters. She does not have a job, or a stable job, I guess. She still lives at home. And so her parents give her like this ultimatum: you have to get out, you have to find a job, you have to have a job for a year, or we're cutting you off, essentially. And so she goes and finds this random sign on the side of the road for this B&B, and she wants to check it out, and then magically they're hiring, and she goes and has this interview, and then she leaves not getting the job, but then the owner and the chef or whatever run out and try to stop her because they're like, no, we desperately need somebody, and then she accidentally runs him over, like hits him with her car. He's not dead, obviously, he's the love interest, but she's employed, and then essentially has to help like take over this guy's responsibilities, the owner of the Airbnb, B&B, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, the guy, he's an owner of B&B. I can't remember if he's like autistic or if he has something, I don't remember, but yeah, he owns the B&B. I don't know, there's really not much else to say. You know, kind of just our friends, their co-workers. It's not like, I don't know if there's like I guess it's a friends to lovers kind of situation. Yeah, I don't know, it was cute. that was kind of it. I don't know. It was fine. I think I'm getting romanced out. I've been reading a lot of romance and I'm like kind of over it now. Except for Emily Henry. She could write me 500, 600 page romance book and I'd still read it. Last book. So I technically finished this in January, but I finished it like January 1st or something. So I'm not going to remember what this book is about in 30 days. So we're going to talk about it here. I read Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Yeah, you guys. I'm relevant. Malibu Rising is a book I've seen all over Bookstagram, all over BookTube. Yes, I have. I really liked Evelyn Hugo and Her Seven Husbands. I did. I loved that one. I loved it so much. But here's a controversial opinion. I did not like Daisy Jones and the Six. It was a no for me. I didn't like it at all. I was bored the entire time. I was like, I don't get it. I don't get the hype. It was whatever. So after that, I was like, wasn't super like, oh, I need to get Malibu Rising, you know, like it's gonna be so good. Like I was actually kind of nervous. I was like, am I gonna hate this? So I checked it out and I actually really liked it. I liked it a lot. So Malibu Rising is about these 4 siblings and their dad is this like rock star and he essentially kind of like abandons them leaves them with their mom and kind of just does their own thing. And these kids are kind of like fending for themselves. And every year, as adults, they throw this party, massive party, and just a lot of things are boiling up and everything just kind of explodes at this party. So the book kind of like leads up, like gives you everything that's boiling for every single character. The mom, the siblings, the dad, the side characters, everything is just at a boiling point, right? And then the party happens and you see everything just, it's crazy. I really love this. This is another multiple characters perspective. You get to see every single character talk. I love it. I love that because it really gives you a full picture of what's going on. I just love it. So we get to see all the perspective of the siblings. We get to see the perspective of the mom, the dad, all the side people too, which is really nice because you can kind of see from the outside in to the family and like kind of get different perspectives on them, which is really cool. And I just really like that. So it was really, really, really good. I really, really liked it. I don't really know what else to say about it because I really don't want to give anything away. You kind of find out little things throughout the book that are kind of fun. So I don't know. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. I was happily surprised. So yeah. Okay, so those were the books that I read in December and pretty proud of myself. I'm pretty happy about it. Oh shoot. I forgot one book. Okay, the 4th book I read in December was Waiting to Exhale by Terry McKellen. I read this for the Snacks Book Club and I kind of liked it. I kind of didn't. I don't know. I will say this, starting off, I know that this book is not written for me. It's not with me in mind as a white woman. This is written with Black women in mind, and I'm okay with that. I understand that, and that's not what I didn't like about the book. I honestly enjoyed a lot of aspects about this book, Waiting to Exhale. So the Waiting to Exhale is about 4 Black women who are friends in Arizona, and they're all single or going through different kind of relationships and are relying heavily on each other to get through life and just kind of like the sisterhood and friendship that they have. And I really loved that. I loved that concept of the book. Because I feel like we don't really get that a ton in books. Like, you don't get that female friendship story. And it was really great. I loved seeing that. I loved that. And I love seeing like the messy stories with like some of the women's relationships. Like, even though they know they're making mistakes, they're still doing it. And that's just so real. I felt like I was so real, so authentic. You know, and especially since the women are all older, they're in their upper 30s, and they all feel like this ticking time time bomb. I don't know. The clock is ticking to them, they feel like, and it's just kind of like sucks. And the pool of men is dwindling, and it's just so authentic and real. And some of the pressures of society are still so relevant today. If you're in your upper 30s, you should be married, have children, have a house. What are you doing with your life if you're not there, you know? And so it's just like, I really loved how like these women were trying to navigate that, because I feel like a lot of women today are still trying to navigate that. And it's just so hard to like be in that position and be okay and be happy. And then like we get to see, you know, one of the characters really go through that and come out on the other side and be like, hey, I'm okay. If I'm happy, I'm good. And I really loved that. I loved that concept of the story. I loved it. Some of the things I didn't like were the fatphobia. I hated that part, and it almost ruined the book for me because every chapter and every character mentions how important it is to be slim and how like unattractive it is to be fat. And one of the friends is overweight, she's heavier, and it is constantly mentioned, especially in her chapters, how overweight she is, how much she loves to eat, and it's like she can't stop. And it was just too much. It was too much in my face, and I just didn't like it. I hated that part of the book, and I'm not kidding you, it almost ruined it for me. And I was kind of worried like what that opinion was going to be like, but then I listened to the Saks Book Club like discussion, and they also felt the same way. So I was like, okay, I'm not crazy here. Like it was just too much. And even for when it was written, I felt like it was too much because it's like early 2000s book. Not super surprised, but also kind of like, wow, for the time, still a lot. So I enjoyed it for the most part. The other thing I didn't like was that I thought it was too long. I thought that it was just kind of ran its course just a little too long. It's like almost a 400-page book, and it felt like it could have been shorter. Chop some of those things out. Like there was just some things were just repetitive or not needed. Get them out. Otherwise, I really enjoyed it. I like the story. Like I said, I love a female friendship story. I liked how, like, you know, the relationships with the men they were like a main part of it, but to me, they weren't the main focus. So I liked that. Now I have all the books, I can do my outro. Those were the books that I read in December. Great month, great month. Quality and quantity. Can't ask for much better than that. So I love that. In the comments down below, let me know what your favorite books in December were, if you've read any of the books that I talked about today. And as always, like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you have not already. And I will see you guys next time.